Oh, yeah. And now, from North Platte High School Studio B, welcome to Bulldog Banter, where students, stakeholders, and alumni come together to traverse the transformative power of education. This week's episode sponsored by the North Platte Public Schools Foundation and the Flower Market.
Hi, I'm Tucker.
I'm Will.
And this is the Bulldog Banter.
We talk about stuff, talk to people about stuff, and give you the latest banter.
Bulldog style. Today's guest is Dr. Melissa Poloncic. She is the 2025 Distinguished Alumni. And yeah, we're super glad to have her today.
Thanks.
You want to tell us, because you're an alumni, so
Yes.
can you tell us about your early career here in North Platte?
Well, you bet. I'm from the class of 1988. So, like I told you a little bit ago,
Yeah.
I'm an 80s girl. And I actually went to high school in the old building. So when we used to have to walk the entire block from one class to another and go up into that 3-story building.
Oh, yeah. We've heard a lot about that
Yeah, we
because we've
have.
had a bunch of alumni, and we've heard about how long those hallways
Oh,
were.
so
and,
long.
Like, yeah, it was
And
just
your
a
locker
big, it
was
was a big
somewhere.
square, and it was just not fun to traverse that whole time.
Yeah, it was crazy. But you got in a lot of socializing. So I was pretty good at that.
Yeah, I would expect.
Yeah, you got. How long were those passing periods? They give you enough time, or were you late to all your classes?
I think 4 minutes or something like that.
That's
I mean,
less
you
than
had-
us.
I thought it was longer than that.
It
We're gonna have
wasn't
to
a
go
long
back and
time.
look at
You
some
had
other
to go. You had
Yeah.
to go fast.
We got 5 minutes, and we don't got to walk that much because, like, usually all our classes are like in the same area. You just got to walk a couple steps, and you're there.
Yeah, I think they were just trying to get us back and forth, get us
Yeah.
in shape.
Do you recognize any teachers here, or do you know any teachers that are still teaching here? Or are they all?
You know, I haven't looked at the roster lately of the teachers, but I would guess that maybe there might be
Yeah,
A
we've
couple,
got a bunch of
but
new teachers.
probably
but,
not too many.
Yeah. But so after you graduated high school, where'd you end up going? Because you went to UNK.
UNK.
Oh, the
UNK.
Lopers.
I went into Loper country.
How was
Yes.
that? Did you?
It was great. It was great because Kearney is a lot like North Platte in size, and it was a good sized college for me. They have a focus in education. That's what I wanted to go study. And so it worked out really well. There were a few of my classmates that went to Kearney, and it was a good time.
So how was your schooling at Kearney? How long was that?
I was there 3.5 years for my undergrad. So I ended up staying in the summertime. I would stay and take summer courses and work there at Harmon Park at the swimming pool and teach swimming lessons. And so I took some courses in the summer. Back then, we didn't have dual credit. So you just took your general studies, and then whatever you were focusing on, that was next. And then I student taught in Kearney at the schools there and ended up getting hired for my first teaching job with Kearney Public Schools.
So what do you teach, or what did you first
what
start
did you
teaching?
teach, yeah.
Well, I was an elementary teacher, so
Oh.
the grades that I taught were 1st, 2nd, and 5th grades. And my very first teaching job was 5th grade at Kenwood Elementary in Kearney.
Did you like it, or were you scared when you first started, or were you like, this is what I want to do?
Oh,
I
yeah,
love it so
I loved
much.
it.
Yeah.
I loved it. I wanted to be a teacher from like 2nd grade on. I always knew that's what I wanted to do. When I was your age, I thought I was probably going to go out of state to college. And then when it came to my senior year, I really started thinking about my family and how close I wanted to be to my family. I wanted to be far enough away to have some independence, but still close enough that I could come home.
Yeah, that sounds. Yeah, they have that Kearney Bound program
Yeah.
here, where if you just sign up, don't you get free tuition there, or is it
You
like?
have to have an essay. There's some other stuff you
Yeah,
have to
but
meet.
Yeah.
there's some stuff that you can get to go to Kearney for free.
Maybe
But-
some scholarships.
Yeah.
So,
Awesome.
And then, so 5th grade, and then how many years do you teach, like, at that Kenwood
Well, I,
Elementary?
I taught at Kenwood in total. I taught there, I think, 3 years. I also taught in another elementary called Bryan Elementary in Kearney, and I taught a couple years there. So I was a new teacher, so they kind of had me filling spots of people that were taking leaves at 1st. That's how I got my first job. And then I got a more permanent job in 1st grade towards the end of when I lived there. And we lived there for 5 years.
so after that 5 years is up, where'd you end off?
Well, then I ended up coming back to North Platte. So I actually taught in Sutherland, which is just outside of North Platte, and I worked at ESU 16, which is an educational service unit here that works with 9 counties of schools. And so at the time when I was teaching at Sutherland, I started getting my graduate coursework done, and I started working on my administrative degree, and then really thought that I would enjoy some work of teaching teachers. And so that's when I started with ESU.
What's ESU stand for? Is that
Educational Service Unit. So it's a service unit that helps schools and provides services for schools and their teachers. It's something that typically teachers and the administrators would tap into for a resource.
So you said you wanted to teach teachers. Like what?
Yeah.
What does that mean? Or like how would you get into that?
Well, whether you guys know this or not, but your teachers always go to school because kids change, instruction changes, the research changes. And so if you go into education every single year, you're probably doing some ongoing professional development or some learning so that you can teach your kids the very best that you can. And so I was the person that would go out to schools and talk to teachers about what they needed to learn to be able to deliver the best instruction to their students.
Yeah, so it's like those teacher work days that we get
Yeah.
off.
Oh, okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
So I'd be a person that would come in on a work day and I might lead a lesson for your teachers.
Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah. So you mentioned you did swim lessons. I do swim lessons right now.
Do you?
Yeah, I like teaching
It's the
them.
best,
Yeah,
isn't it?
I like it, and yeah, it's fun, and you get kids, and I do swim. We both do swim,
Yeah.
and we're lifeguards and stuff. So
Maybe you guys should be teachers.
I've thought about it. Like if like I go to college and like all that sports
Yeah.
marketing stuff doesn't figure out, I've thought about like just switching to
Yeah.
education and going to Kearney or whatever. But
Well, and if you like sports, you know, the great thing about education is all the things that you like about school, you can keep being around those things for
Yeah.
your whole life and develop that love with other kids. So if you like athletics, you like sports, you know, you can be a teacher and then you can coach or be a part of programs, and it just keeps it going for the next generations, which is super cool.
So after you started learning that ESU, right? And
Yeah.
then what'd you use with that training? What did you use?
Well, so then I finished up my administrative degree, which meant that I could be a principal. And I wasn't quite ready to make that leap, but we moved to Iowa because at the time our family had another job opportunity over in Iowa. And so I ended up working for what they call AEAs there, which is the same as an ESU. And as I worked in the AEAs, I kept meeting more teachers and more administrators. And the one thing that I missed was being in a school with kids. I visited schools, but usually it was on days that the kids weren't there. And there's something about being at a school every single day and really seeing people develop as humans that I missed a lot. And so that's when I decided to be a principal.
So how much schooling did it take to start becoming a principal?
Well, my master's degree probably took me about 3 or 4 years, and I got that at Kearney. So even though I was living in North Platte, we did something called distance learning, which was there was a teleprompter and somebody was teaching in Kearney, and we went and sat in a classroom and watched the TV, and they would talk to us from Kearney, and it was like new wave technology back then, you guys. It was in the 90s, so it was pretty cool. And then in the summer, we would have to go on campus for a few classes. So it took a little bit of time, and I was working full time. But I just kept at it and got that degree.
So you said you moved to Iowa and then became a principal. Did you, like your first principal job, was that in Iowa or was that in Nebraska?
It was in Iowa. And it was at a school that was an elementary school in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. So it was a pretty big school district, really.
What do like principals do? Like they're always there, but like I just can't tell like exactly what they do. Do they just like manage all the teachers and then like tell us like
So you develop teachers just like a teacher develops students, and tries to make instruction the very best that it can be, that's still a really important job of the principal, because the principal is going in and observing teachers, observing you guys as learners, seeing how that's going within the school building, and they're responsible for your instruction. They're also responsible for your safety while you're at school. Your parents, they put you, their most precious possessions, in our hands for the day, and they expect that it's a safe environment and that it's a place that you enjoy. And so a principal has a lot to do with that. A principal has a lot to do with managing the building, all the way from the parking lot to when you dismiss at night. A principal's job is pretty much 24/7. If something happens on a weekend or at a game out of town, your principal has to take care of it if it's a problem. So they do a lot of conflict resolution. They do a lot of problem solving. Pretty much if there's an issue that pops up that people need help solving, it's going to be the principal's responsibility to figure that out and problem solve with families and community and teachers and everything that goes on. So it's just a really busy job.
Yeah, we see Mr. Spakansky like everywhere, and we're like, what is he really like? I've always like, you never really look that deep into it when you see him around the building, but they're always doing something, I guess.
They're always doing something.
It's crazy. But going back to like your high school days, what was your experience like with all your teachers? Did you do any sports, or were you just academics, or what'd you do?
I did. I always talk about my sports career actually to kids at my school now, because I was a person who all my life I've really loved sports, but I was coordinated, but I wasn't really athletic. So I was really slow, and sometimes I was pretty clumsy when it came to athletics, but I loved sports, and I still do. So I played basketball. My dad was the assistant basketball coach, and I played basketball for him for a year or so, and then he told me, you know, if I wanted to get better, I was going to have to work at it in the summers and maybe put a little extra effort in, or I could just get a job and be a pacer. And so I got a job and I was a pacer. Oh. But I always stayed around athletics, and I wanted to play volleyball, but I actually got cut from the volleyball team. So that was a failure early in my high school career that really hurt my heart, because I loved volleyball and I did play it in junior high, both basketball and volleyball. But Linda Carlson was the coach back then, and she liked my attitude. She liked who I was as a person, and she asked me to be the student manager. And so I did that for 4 years, and I was a part of a really athletic class. Even though I wasn't athletic, there were a lot of athletic girls in our class that were really good friends of mine, and I was able to go to the state tournament with them. I felt like I was a part of the team. They always made me a part of that group, and I was just serving in a different way.
So your school spirit, was that like great back then?
Yeah.
Or I can only imagine that it was really good.
It was good. You know, in the 80s, life was a little simpler. We didn't have phones. We didn't have a lot of connections beyond the kids we went to high school with. And so we maybe knew some kids from St. Pat's, you know, that we just crossed paths with. But otherwise, you just didn't know people like you guys do. And so your high school friends, that was your family, and that's who you grew up with. And so you were pretty close, and school was pretty much the center of our world. That's what we did.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy hearing like trying to compare our lives to your guys' lives back then, like with all high school and all that. But like,
I feel like the spirit's one of the biggest parts, though.
Yeah.
I feel like I don't know, the more the years go on, I feel like the spirit just goes down.
Yeah, it's just
Is that right?
Yeah, it's been rough the past couple of years.
It's
but
really rough.
how'd you improve your school spirit? Like, did you do anything, or how do you think we could help change our school?
I was a student that was highly involved. I really liked being involved, and so I suppose I had classmates that looked at it different, but for me, it was a time to grow and learn and be with my friends and just enjoy the experience. And I really did love high school. I was on student council. I was a pacer. Do they still call it pacers?
Yep,
Yeah.
they do.
Okay. So back then we wore the black boots. Have you ever seen the tall black boots?
No.
No? Oh. I can show you some pictures.
Oh,
it was pretty
I'd
crazy.
like to
They were
see
like
that.
go-go boots,
You had to
guys.
dance in boots.
Ooh.
Yeah, and they had heels.
I bet your legs had to have been pretty strong after.
Heck yeah, you had
4
to
years of
march
that?
and all
Ooh.
of that kind of thing. So I was a part of that, which, I got to school at 6 or 6:30 in the morning and was a part of that. And then a lot of times I was with sports teams after school. And so that was the center of my world. And then I was expected to work or keep busy because I think that my parents were educators and they knew that busy kids stayed out of more trouble than non-busy kids. And so they always encouraged me to be involved too.
So how did like all of that prepare you for being a superintendent and teacher? Did it help you like better connect with others and teach others in a way that others couldn't?
Absolutely. Definitely. If you look back at just what you guys are doing right here, I mean, this is going to help you in your career forever. Being able to talk to people, being able to represent yourself, being articulate. And I think it's even harder with your generation because so much communication is electronic. And so being able to continue to have the human side of connection and knowing the importance of having a conversation and really getting to know somebody and asking them questions like you're doing today with me. Those were the things that we did too, and those things never go away. Those things were very important when even my parents went to high school, and so those are things well into our future that'll be important and make you successful. I'm a person who hires and fires people every single year because I'm a superintendent. I have 160 employees I'm responsible for. Unfortunately, not everybody always makes good decisions. Typically, when people lose a job, it's not because of their skills of doing the job. It's usually because of a human problem. They can't get along with others. They have miscommunicated. They can't control their emotions. They make a bad ethical decision. And so if you think about all those things that you learn in school, whether you're involved in band or choir or this or basketball, you learn those human elements. And those are so important for the rest of your life.
So I have like a personal question.
Yeah.
So this year and going on at our school, we have no phones. Are you going to do that at DCUS?
We actually are going to do something similar. Our kids can have them during passing period in the high school.
Lucky.
So it was really a huge discussion at our school district because we have had no cell phone regulations, but it's become a pretty big issue. Even our kids are saying, we need to do something. Like these phones are so distracting to our relationships with each other, what's going on at school. So even our parents and kids were okay with doing something, but it was a really hard decision to go from no phones to should we have them during passing period? Should we just do it during lunch? So we ended up doing a lot of surveys with kids, surveys with parents, teachers. We read a lot of research. And the research actually tells you what your school is doing, which is kids should put them away. That we should put them away when we enter the door and then get them back out when we leave. That would be optimal for learning. We felt like high schoolers, you're still preparing for life. And in life, you also have to know how to regulate yourself with use of that cell phone. So we landed in between. But we're going to see how it goes.
Yeah, I bet that was a heated board meeting because everybody was just like, as soon as that first email went out, it was just
There were students and parents going
like
crazy.
Yeah, everybody has an opinion, right?
Yeah,
So,
it's like I can see both sides. Like not having your phone, it's good for everything in your brain, but like there's a bunch of conflicts that also rise up when that happens. But what do you think the effects of like absolutely zero phone use will have? Do you think like people will be mad like the rest of the time they don't have their phones, or you think it'll slowly dim down?
Well, one of the best pieces of research that we read about is if I would think about back to the 80s, we didn't have cell phones, obviously, right? But would your parents or would your teachers have let you bring in your radio, it was tape players, you could listen to a cassette at that time. Would they let you be writing notes to your friends the whole time you're in class? Would they let you bring in all your doodling materials to do art? Would they let you bring all that stuff in while you're trying to learn? Probably not. So when we're allowing a phone to be there with kids during learning time, we're just asking for distraction of being able to learn something. But I think what the kids will say and what they did say to us is we're aware of this and we know how to put it away. We know how to regulate with the phone. And so, let us make those decisions. And our parents said, I am so used to knowing where my kid is and being able to contact them anytime. It's going to be really hard for me not to be able to. And so everybody's perspective, you have to take a look at. And just because it's research and it's good doesn't mean it works in real life. So we'll have to see how it goes. And I'm sure you guys will learn a lot putting them away too. The places that have done it have seen an increase in learning and academics. So it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, I'm willing to try
I'm
it
kind
for
of
a
excited,
year.
honestly.
Yeah.
I think we're going to get way closer.
Yeah, and then we'll actually be able to
I think it's going to be
more productive.
a lot more productive. That's
Well,
than
when you go
school
back
was
to the
last
school
year.
pride thing, sometimes that's just about taking time to know each other and have authentic conversations and be proud of one another, of what each other's doing. And, if I have adult children, but they weren't teenagers too long ago, and I know that they would sit around and text with their friends in the same room instead of talking to each other. So it's just kind of a part of our society right now that you just are with yourself and your phone and texting, and sometimes we neglect the human interaction that really does build pride in relationships and things like that. So it'll be cool to see if that does help some of your school spirit and your connection with one another.
Yeah, now that you say that,
that's interesting.
The disconnect that really does happen
That's true.
between people when they have their phones, because it's much easier to pass the time just
scrolling. When you have nothing else to do.
actually talking to somebody in your class or talking to people you don't know in your class. That's way harder than just going off in your own world.
I feel like we're all probably going to have a better understanding of like teachers and stuff after this year to see how much they're going to put in when they can't just tell us you have free time, go get on your phones.
Yeah.
So they're actually going to have to do something. And
yeah, that's another.
I feel like we're kind of really going to respect the teachers after this year more.
Yeah.
We've been talking about that a lot because even from the teacher perspective, so I'm a person that now has to work with those adults in the building too, it's going to have to be bell-to-bell instruction, because you can't just say to kids, oh, go ahead and get on your phones if you're done with your work, which is what we've done for a few years now. And so if we're not getting out phones, teachers are going to have really effective instruction that engages you guys as students, bell to bell.
Yeah, and that'll show like who really, because classwork is so easy right now. Most of it. But like most of it you can get done in 30 minutes and you'll have an hour
else to do. Yeah.
And then there'll still be some kids that don't get it done within that full hour and a half, and it'll show what needs to be fixed and what needs to be changed with all the So now that we're really talking about it, it's definitely a better plan. I haven't really discussed it fully.
I haven't either. I guess we've always kind of been negative.
Yeah, we've always but it's always shorthand, and we're of course talking about it over our phones.
Yeah. We're texting about no phones. Yeah,
over our phones.
Of course.
But yeah, I'm willing to try it.
Actually,
I'm excited to try it.
The more I talk about it, the more I'm kind of like.
I love your attitude, guys.
Yeah,
I love it.
Sorry, that was a long tangent.
that was a big tangent.
Yeah, but back to you. What do you do as a superintendent down in those schools? You look over everything, like even more than a principal or whatever?
Yes, I do. So we're 1,100 kids. So we have 1,100 kids. We're a C1 school district. So, You guys know that classification in sports.
Yeah.
That's how
it's
big
like
we
St.
are.
Pat's, isn't it? Or
St. Pat's is, some of their sports are C1.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're a little bigger than St.
Yeah.
Pat's. We also, we're big enough that we do play Class B sometimes. Last year, boys basketball, we were Class B.
Yeah.
So we kind of bounce back and forth depending on the enrollment in our high school. We're right outside of Omaha, and we have 3 schools. So we have the elementary, and we have the middle school. So elementary is pre-K, preschool to 5th grade. Middle school is 6 through 8, and then the high school is 9-12. And we're all on one campus. We actually have a pretty large school district that covers several miles. It's the towns of Valley and Waterloo combined together. We are in Douglas County, which is where the name comes from, DC West. It's Douglas County West. And so we're the far northwest tip of Douglas County, which is Omaha area. And we're all on one campus, and we have a great school district. I like it as a superintendent because my office is in the middle of the school. So even though I'm the superintendent and I'm not a principal, I'm not in charge of a school building anymore, I still see kids every day. And if I want to go down and check out the preschoolers because I'm having a rough day, I can go sit down with them and have a moment of really remembering why I do the work that I do, or I can go down to high school lunch and talk to some kids like you. That really feeds my soul too, because the work sometimes gets a little tough as a superintendent. I don't have like the daily problems, but when I do have problems, they're usually pretty big by the time they get to me.
Yeah.
And maybe they deal with legal stuff or laws or things like that. So I have to spend a lot of my time with legislation and laws and how that works in our school. I also do a lot with just the operations of the school, so the actual budget. We run about a $17 million budget in our school district, so I'm the person that's responsible for that. And I'm the person that's responsible for figuring out that and what people can spend and what they can't, and how we use our taxpayers' money. And that's always a pretty big job and a big part of my day. Then also just the learning and the instruction that's going on, just overseeing that, even though that's a lot of teachers and principals' work, that still is highly important to me because that's why we're all there. And I work with the community a lot, so I might be the face that's representing the school district out in the community and talking to people, because usually in a community, only about 20 or 30% of the people there have kids in school. And so a lot of times you're out talking to citizens who, you know, they don't even know what school's like for you guys anymore. And they don't know how it's changed since they've been in school. And so it's important for me to be out there really talking about what great kids we have, how smart and intelligent they are, all the things that you guys can do nowadays, and maybe not to believe everything they always hear about kids these days.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a lot.
Yeah, I've never even really thought about that before.
$17 million to handle. That's did you see it? Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a hefty amount to
just kind of have in your
Yeah.
hands. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you always have people like, so they come to you when they want to use that money? They're like, I want to use this for a new video board or a new whatever.
So we set a budget at the beginning of the year, and the school board approves it. And that line item budget, you know, it's multiple pages. And so we set that up at the beginning of the year. But then every transaction, it's taxpayer dollars. And so every single purchase that we make in a school is public record. And so anybody could ever see a receipt for anything we purchase. So your teachers need a notebook or government class, they send in a requisition or a request for that. And it is my responsibility to approve or not approve that. So it goes to their principal first, but then it comes to our business office. So everything we buy in the district, I have to sign off.
So what's like a day-to-day workload for you? Like on a normal day? Is it like pretty chill, or is it just kind of depends?
Yeah, it's usually not chill. So I wish it was. It's not chill. A typical work week is, 50, 60 hours, sometimes a little bit more. Lots of nights. And so I think that it's important to be a part of your community. So I go to tons of kids' events. So like your sports contest, your performances, all those things, because that's where I'm able to visit with your parents. I'm able to visit with the community. And so I spend a lot of time talking to people. And I also really try to make myself available to help solve problems in the district and support the people that are doing really hard work. And so working with principals, working with teachers, working with parents to figure something out, talking to kids about what they need, those are like highlights of my day, and I always try to spend time doing that. My email is horrible. It's like it's buried all the time, and so hopefully I get to that. I have to sit at my desk way more than I'd like to, so I try to get up and move around and get out to the schools and when I work on projects. So say for instance, we've done about almost $50-60 million in construction while I've been the superintendent over a decade. I'm going into my 12th year there. And we've done a lot of building projects. And so when you do like a construction project, it takes about a year to plan it. You have to figure out how you're going to pay for it. You have to figure out what the design is, what the impact is in the community. You have tons of meetings, and you meet with a lot of people from the outside that are professionals that know how to do that work, and then you have to oversee it as it's implemented and built and put into place. So that's another big job of a superintendent.
Jeez.
That's a
lot of. I've never even really thought about that.
Yeah,
I feel like a lot of people kind of discredit superintendents and kind of say they sit back and don't do anything.
Yeah, but they're like
hearing it firsthand is definitely
they're doing everything. They oversee basically everything. That's crazy.
Yeah, anything goes wrong.
Oh yeah, it's under you. Yeah.
It's kind of a hard job to understand, though.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Jeez. So were you surprised to hear that you were like awarded the Distinguished Alumni for this year, or were you?
Yeah, I was. I was really honored, actually. I'm very humbled because I do keep up with several of my classmates or people that are near my age or even older, and so many people go on and do really important things in their life, and I feel like I've just done my career, my job the best that I can, but I don't feel like I'm any more special or distinguished than some other folks that I know. So it was really humbling to have an honor like this, but also it makes you step back and think of the importance of how schools and people around you influence your life and really help you get to places or do things that you never thought you probably would do. When I was in high school, if you'd told me I was going to be the superintendent, I would probably said, what does a superintendent do? And so I've done things in my career that, I didn't set out to do. I just knew I wanted to be an educator. But other people in my life influenced me or supported me or helped me get to that next place. And so I guess this is just one of those things that I feel really honored. People I've worked with and some of my classmates said, we think she should get this award. And that's humbling.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
Alrighty, so to finish up, we always ask the same question. If you were to give like one piece of advice to like kids our age, what would it be? Or like anything motivational? It's a hard question. It's a really hard question.
It is.
This stumps everyone.
Yeah.
I think this one is really hard to do. And I think the reason I'm giving it to you as advice is I still try to give it to myself every day too, is we're always looking ahead and we're always looking at the next thing. But sometimes we just need to stop and be present in the moment, because these times for you, whether it's high school or I think of myself, I'm now toward the end of my career.
Uh-oh.
Oh, put this back on. I'm toward the end of my career, and it goes so fast. And these things are not staying on.
They're about done too.
Yeah.
It goes so fast, and so just be present. Enjoy today, enjoy your friends, enjoy where you are in life, and don't worry about tomorrow. Sometimes just be in the moment and enjoy where you are right now.
Yeah, that's really good.
That was great.
Alrighty, well, thank you for coming on, and
Yeah.
congrats for being Distinguished Alumni 2025.
Thank you.
I'm Tucker,
I'm Will.
and this has been the Bulldog Banter. Thank you for watching.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Ugh.